Okay, everybody. Welcome this evening. So glad to be with you tonight for the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're going to be reading tonight from chapter 75, Canto 10, Duryodhana, Humiliated. So this is,
This is a funny one.
yeah, it may be funny from someone's perspective, but not from Duryodhana's. He's not laughing too much. But it was time for him to have his demoniac way come to an end. And so Krishna had made the necessary arrangements for that. And I think you'll be able to see that in true form here in the chapter itself. So, depending on how many folks we have coming tonight to read, we'll pass it around. There's only about 40 verses in this chapter. And so, if we want to, we could stop on this chapter. And the next chapter is really about Pradyumna. It's Krishna's son, who was actually KO'd on the battlefield um, in a fight with Śālva. And that was unfortunate. So he was taken away from the battlefield, and he became very perturbed with his chariot driver and said, "How will anybody believe this? I mean, out of the Vṛṣṇis, I'm the only one that's ever left the battlefield. No one's ever left. I need to be a great hero. I'm Krishna's son." So that was a little bit of a miscommunication. That's coming up in the next chapter, but I'm not sure we're going to get that far tonight. So we'll start out as usual with pranams. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shunyavani Paschad Yadesha Charane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gurudhara Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So, as usual, I'll start out reading, say, the first 15, and then whoever wants to pick it up from there can read. So, text one, Maharaj Pariksit said, "O Brahmana, according to what I have heard from you, all the assembled kings, sages, and demigods were delighted to see the wonderful festivities of King Ajatashatru's Rajasuya sacrifice, with the sole exception of Duryodhana. Please tell me why this was so, my lord." Sri Bhadrayani said, "At the Rajasuya sacrifice of your saintly grandfather, his family members, bound by their love for him, engaged themselves in humble services on his behalf. Bhima supervised the kitchen. Duryodhana looked after the treasury, while Sahadev respectfully greeted the arriving guests. Nakula procured needed items. Arjuna attended the respectful elders, and Krishna washed everyone's feet." Wow. Krishna washed everyone's feet, while Draupadi served food and generous Karna gave out the gifts. Many others, such as Yuyudhana, Vikarna, Hardikya, Vidura, Bhurashrava, and other sons of Balika and Satardhana, similarly volunteered for sacrifice. They did so because of their eagerness to please Maharaj Yudhisthira, O best of kings. After the priests, the prominent delegates, the greatly learned sages, and the king's most intimate well-wishers had all been properly honored with pleasing words, auspicious offerings, and various gifts of remuneration, and after the king of Chedi had entered the lotus feet of the Lord of the Sattvatas, the Avabrita bath was performed in the divine river Jamuna. During the Avabrita celebration, the music of many kinds of instruments resounded, including mridangas, conch shells, panavas, dunduris, kettle drums, and gomukha horns. Female dancers danced with great joy, and choruses sang, while the loud vibrations of venas, flutes, and hand cymbals reached all the way to the heavenly regions. All the kings wearing gold necklaces then set off for the Jamuna. They had flags and banners of various colors and were accompanied by infantrymen, well-adorned soldiers riding lordly elephants, chariots, and horses. The massed armies of the Yadus, Srinjayas, Kambojas, Kurus, Kekayas, and Koshalas made the earth tremble as they followed Yudhisthira Maharaj, the performer of the sacrifice, all in procession. The assembly officials, the priests, and other excellent brahmanas resoundingly vibrated Vedic mantras, while the demigods, divine sages, Pitas, and Gandharvas sang praises and rained down flowers. Men and women, all adorned with sandalwood paste, flower garlands, jewelry, and fine clothing, sported by smearing and sprinkling one another with various liquids. The men smeared the courtesans with plentiful yogurt, oil, perfumed water, turmeric, and kumkuma powder, and the courtesans playfully smeared the men with the same substances. Surrounded by guards, King Yudhisthira's queens came out on their chariots to see the fun, just as the demigods' wives appeared in the sky in celestial airplanes. As maternal cousins and intimate friends sprinkled the queens with liquids, the ladies' faces bloomed with shy smiles, enhancing the queen's splendid beauty. So, who would like to pick it up? That's text 17 coming up.
I could go because the others have just arrived, so maybe they can go in
Okay.
a minute. Okay. As the queens as the queen squirted water from syringes at their brothers-in-law and other male companions, their own garments became drenched, revealing their arms, breasts, thighs, and waists. In their excitement, the flowers fell from their loosened braids. By these charming pastimes, they agitated those with contaminated consciousness. The emperor, mounted upon his chariot, drawn by excellent horses, wearing golden collars, appeared splendid in the company of his wives, just like the brilliant Rajasuya sacrifice, surrounded by its various rituals. The priests, led by the king through the execution of the final rituals of Patni Samjaya and Avabhayaya, then they had him and Queen Draupadi sip water for purification and bathe in the Ganges. The kettle drums of the gods resounded along with those of human beings. Demigods, sages, forefathers, and humans all poured down showers of flowers. All the citizens belonging to the various orders of Varna and Ashrama then bathed in that place, where even the most grievous sinner had immediately been freed from all sinful reactions. Next, the king put on new silken garments and adorned himself with fine jewelry. He then honored the priests, assembly officials, learned brahmanas, and other guests by presenting them with ornaments and clothing. In various ways, King Yudhisthira, who had totally dedicated his life to Lord Narayan, continuously honored his relatives, his immediate family, and the other kings, his friends and well-wishers, and all others present as well. All the men were shone like demigods. They were adorned with jeweled earrings, flower garlands, turbans, waistcoats, silk dhotis, and valuable pearl necklaces. The lovely faces of the women were beautified by their matching earrings and locks of hair, and they all wore golden belts. Text 26. Then the highly cultured priests, the great Vedic authorities who had served as sacrificial witnesses, the specially invited kings, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, and demigods, sages, forefathers, and mystic spirits, and the chief planetary rulers and their followers, all of them, having been worshipped by King Yudhisthira, took his permission and departed, O king, each for his own abode. As they all glorified the wonderful Rajasuya Yajna performance by the great king and servant of Lord Hari, They were not satiated, just as an ordinary man is never satiated when drinking nectar. At that time, Raja Yudhisthira stopped a number of his friends, immediate family members, and other relatives from departing, among them Lord Krishna. Out of love, Yudhisthira could not let them go, for he felt the pain of immense separation. So, could I pass that on to someone? That'll be text 29.
Vamsi's here. Who else is here? Vamsi, can you read now? Let's see who else. We got a Jai Nittai. He can read if you'd like.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Okay, please go ahead.
From text 29.
Yep.
My dear Parikshit, the Supreme Lord remained there for some time to please the king. After first sending Samba and other Yadu heroes back to Dwarka. Thus, King Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma, was at last relieved of his burning ambition, having by the grace of Lord Krishna successfully crossed the vast and formidable ocean of his desires. One day, Duryodhana, while observing the riches of King Yudhishthira's palace, felt greatly disturbed by the magnificence of both the Rajasuya sacrifice and its performer, the king whose life and soul was Lord Achyuta. In that palace, all the collected opulences of the king of men, demons, and gods were brilliantly manifest, having been bought there by the cosmic inventor Maya Danava. With those riches, Draupadi served her husband, and Duryodhana, the prince of the Kurus, lamented because he was very much attracted to her. Lord Madhupati's thousands of queens were also staying in the palace. Their feet moved slowly, weighed down by their hips, and the bells on their feet tinkled charmingly. Their waists were very slender. The kumkuma from their breasts reddened their pearl necklaces, and their swaying earrings and flowing locks of hair enhanced the exquisite beauty of their faces. Text 34, 35. It so happened that Emperor Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma, was sitting just like Indra on the golden throne in the assembly hall built by Maya Danav. Present with him were his attendants and family members, and also Lord Krishna, his special eye. Displaying the opulence of Brahma himself, King Yudhishthira was being praised by the court poets. How Duryodhana, holding a sword in his hand and wearing a crown and necklace, angrily went into the palace in the company of his brothers, O king, insulting the doorkeepers as he entered. Bewildered by the illusions created through Maya Danav's magic, Duryodhana mistook the solid floor for water and lifted the end of his garment. And elsewhere, he fell into the water, mistaking it for solid floor. My dear Parikshit, Bhima laughed to see this, and so did the women, kings, and others. King Yudhishthira tried to stop them, but Lord Krishna showed his approval. Humiliated and burning with anger, Duryodhana turned his face down, left without uttering a word, and went back to Hastinapur. The saintly person present loudly cried out, Alas, alas! And King Yudhishthira was somewhat saddened. But the Supreme Lord, whose mere glance had bewildered Duryodhana, remained silent, for his intention was to remove the burden of the earth. I have not replied to your question, O king, concerning why Duryodhana was dissatisfied on the occasion of the great Rajasuya sacrifice.
Very nice. So I think we've got time to go to chapter 76, the battle between Salva. It's actually pronounced Śālva and the Vṛṣṇis. So if that, I think this one only has 30 some odd verses. So who would like to read? Ajay, you there? Ajay, I don't know if you.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
There
Hare
you are.
Krishna. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Would you like to read? Have you got a Srimad Bhagavatam?
1 second, Mataji. Let me pick up my book.
Yeah, we're on Canto 10, chapter 76. And then it would be text number 1.
Once again. Just opening up my.
Auspicious to have you with us, Ganesh. Glad you're here.
Thank you, Prabhu. I'm opening up Veda base. One
Take
second.
your time. There's no problem. If you'd like, we can continue to read and you can pick
Yes.
up here. Okay, I'll read the first few.
Yes.
Text 1, Sukadev Goswami said, "Now please hear, O king, another wondrous deed performed by Lord Krishna, who appeared in his human-like body to enjoy transcendental pastimes. Hear how he killed the master of Śālva. Śālva was a friend of Shishupal's. When he attended the wedding of Rukmini, the Yadu warriors defeated him in battle, along with Jarasandha and the other kings. Śālva swore in the presence of all the kings, I will rid the earth of the Yadavas. Just see my prowess. Having thus made his vow, the foolish king proceeded to worship Lord Pashupati, Shiva, as his deity by eating only a handful of dust each day and nothing more. The Lord Upmapati is known as, quote, he who is quickly pleased, unquote. Yet only at the end of a year did he gratify Śālva, who approached him for shelter by offering a choice of benedictions. Śālva chose a vehicle that could be destroyed by neither demigods, demons, humans, Gandharvas, Uragas, nor Rakshasas, that could travel anywhere he wished to go and that would terrify the Vṛṣṇis. Lord Shiva said, so be it, on his order. Mayadanava, who conquers his enemy's cities, constructed a flying iron city named Śālva and presented it to Śālva. This unassailable vehicle was filled with darkness and could go anywhere. Upon obtaining it, Śālva went to Dwarka, remembering the Vṛṣṇis' enmity towards him. Śālva besieged the city with a large army, O best of the Bharatas, decimating the outlying parks and gardens, the mansions along with their observatories, towering gateways and surrounding walls, and also the public recreational areas. From his excellent airship, he threw down a torrent of weapons, including stones, tree trunks, thunderbolts, snakes, and hailstones. A fierce whirlwind arose and blanketed all directions with dust. Thus terribly tormented by the airship Śālva, Lord Krishna's city had no peace, O king, just like the earth when it was attacked by the 3 aerial cities of the demons. So are you ready to read now? That's text 13. You can start. Ganesh, you with us? You see that one?
Text 13, Prabhu. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Text 13, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Seeing his subject so harassed, the glorious and heroic Lord Pradyumna told him, do not fear, and mounted his chariot. Text 14, 15. The chief commanders of the chariot warriors, Satyaki, Charudeshna, Shamba, Akrura, and his younger brothers, along with Ardikya, Bhanuvinda, Gada, Sukha, and Sharana, went out of the city with many other eminent bowmen, all geared in armor and protected by contingents of soldiers riding on chariots, elephants, and horses, and also by companies of infantry. A, a tumultuous, hair-raising battle then commenced between Salva's forces and the Edus. It equaled the great battles between the demons and the demigods. With his divine weapons, Pradyumna instantly destroyed all of Salva's magic illusions in the same way that the warm rays of the sun dissipate the darkness of night. Lord Pradyumna's arrows all had gold shafts, iron heads, and perfectly smooth joints. With 25 of them, he struck down Salva's commander in chief, Dyuman, and with 100 he struck Śālva himself. Then he pierced Śālva's officers with one arrow each, his chariot drivers with 10 arrows each, and his horses and other carriers with 3 arrows each. When they saw the glorious Pradyumna perform that amazing and mighty feat, all the soldiers on both sides praised him. At one point, the magic airship built by Maya Danava appeared in many identical forms, and the next moment it was again only one. Sometimes it is visible and sometimes not. Thus, Salva's opponents could never be sure where it was. From one moment to the next, the Sauba airship appeared on the earth, in the sky, on the mountain peak, or in the water. Like a whirling, flaming baton, it never remained in any one place. Wherever Salva would appear with his Sauba ship and his army, there the Edu commanders would shoot their arrows. Salva became bewildered upon seeing his army and aerial city thus harassed by his enemies' arrows, which struck like fire and the sun and were as intolerable as snake venom. Because the heroes of the Vṛṣṇi clan were eager for victory in this victory and the next, they did not abandon their assigned posts on the battlefield, even though the downpour of weapons hurled by Salva's commanders tormented them. Salva's minister Dyuman, previously wounded by Sri Pradyumna, now ran up to him and roaring loudly struck him with his club of black steel. Pradyumna's driver, the son of Daruka, thought that his valiant master's chest had been shattered by the club. Knowing well his religious duty, he removed Pradyumna from the battlefield. Quickly regaining consciousness, Lord Krishna's son Pradyumna said to his charioteer, O driver, this is abominable for me to have been removed from the battlefield. Except for me, no one born in the Edu dynasty has ever been known to abandon the battlefield. My reputation has now been stained by a driver who thinks like an eunuch. What will I say to my fathers Rama and Keshava when I return to them after having simply fled the battle? When can I tell them that will befit my honor? Certainly, my sister in law will laugh at me and say, Oh, hero, tell us how in the world your enemies turned you into such a coward in battle. The driver replied, O long lived one, I have done this knowing full well my prescribed duty. O my lord, the chariot driver must protect the master of the chariot when he is in danger, and the master must also protect his driver. With this rule in mind, I removed you from the battlefield since you had been struck unconscious by your enemy's club, and I thought you were seriously injured.
So these two chapters are pretty magnificent, don't you think?
Yes.
There's so much information in these two chapters that we should pore over. Uh, but what is so interesting, and anybody, please chime in and make any comment you like or any question that you have. Certainly, we can explore. But what sticks out in my mind is this: that in this time, 5,000 years ago, the um, uh, the demigods would come to the earth. They would come to the earth. They would come in various forms and various vimanas and different things like that. And these engagements took place here. And it was commonplace at that time. And the prowess and the powers of the Kshatriya warriors was magnificent. It was mystical. They were able to infuse arrows with mantras that would create nuclear weapons. They had so many powers that we've since lost. As a matter of fact, I was just hearing that many of as we were hearing about Dwarka, they were destroying not only mansions, but their observatories. You remember hearing that in this chapter? It said that they also had observatories. So the Jyotirveda is there to describe what's happening on these celestial bodies. We know the demigods. We know the principalities of these planetary systems. We know who they are, the Gandharvas, the Apsaras, the Siddhas, all of these different types of demigods, and also Rakshasas, demons, which are constantly fighting back and forth, back and forth. So this whole situation that we see here is caused because of this duality known as heat, cold, happiness, distress. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, matra sparsas tu kontaya, shitoshna sukadukada. So yes, there'll be good, there'll be bad. There'll be up, there'll be down, there'll be heat, there'll be cold, there'll be loss, there'll be gain. This is a world of dualities. And so what we find is, though, what I found most interesting in our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam is, and it brings to life the verse that Krishna says in 9:34 in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishashi yuktvaivam atmamatparayana. And what that means is that if a person would simply engage their minds always in thinking of Krishna, engage their minds always in thinking of Krishna, offer their obeisances, worship the Lord, being completely absorbed in me, Krishna says, surely you will come to me. Now, there's another verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that I am equal to all. He goes, Samoham sarva bhuteshu. And what this means is I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. But whoever renders service to me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So the idea is that when you become a friend of Krishna and you engage yourself in service of Krishna, Krishna accepts that service. But guess what? Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we've been seeing how even the demons who are absorbed in Krishna, maybe unfavorably. This is not our sampradaya. We don't teach unfavorable devotional service in the Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya, which is our sampradaya that goes all the way back to Krishna, unbroken chain of thoroughly honest spiritual masters. Parampara is the idea, it comes down handed from one spiritual master to the next, to the next, to the next, unchanged. And the truth itself is maintained. That Sanatana Dharma, that eternal truth, or that eternal function of our soul, which is loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality. So that's the idea. So, but we see that the demons themselves are becoming liberated. So Krishna says, Parichanaya Sadhanam Vanashya Chaduskritam. In other words, I'm coming not only to save the sadhus, but I'm also coming to deliver the duskritam. I'm coming to take care of the evil people. As a matter of fact, this first chapter we read, 74, is about the humiliation of Duryodhana. And it's time for him to come down from his lofty perspective. We know that Duryodhana took the position of, wanted to take the position of Pandu, but he was born blind. Pandu died early, and he took his position. He couldn't have, even though he was the first, Dhritarashtra was the firstborn, even though he was the firstborn, right? He could not take the position of king because he was blind. So Pandu took it, but when he died early, Dhritarashtra took it back and installed Duryodhana And that was the whole problem. That's where the whole problem started. And then how many years did they exile the Pandavas? How many times did they try to kill them? How many times did they try to cheat them in gambling matches? How many times did they try to destroy them? And when they came back and said, we've come back now to take our rightful position on the throne, what did they say? They said, no, we're not giving you anything. They said, okay, well, how about just one province? No. How about one city? No. How about one village? No. And what was their reply? Their reply was, we won't give you enough land to govern that will fit onto the head of a pin. So even Krishna goes and he tries to work this whole thing out with logic and reason, and they won't hear of it. So Krishna says, okay, I will not fight as the supreme person. I will not fight. It would be a fair fight if God himself fought in the battle. So what he does is he becomes chariot driver of Arjuna, because the evil-minded Dhritarashtra and Dronacharya, they wanted to take his armies. They felt like having his phalanxes of soldiers, that they would be easily defeating the Pandus. Well, that didn't work out very well, did it? So now we're hearing later on in the Mahabharata how all these things have come down, and Krishna is actually beginning to wind up his pastimes in this material world, and he is getting ready to go and leave shortly. So this part where he was humiliated, let's go back and I'll take a look at that with you real quick. No, hold on one. I'm going to go back one. I wanted to kind of go over this with you. Okay, so this was right after the Rajasuya sacrifice, which is a splendid event with all the kings, all the regalia, all the palace fully ornamented in every possible way. And so Duryodhana was humiliated in this King Yudhishthira's palace, because Mayadanava had built this palace in such a way that his mystical influence and his magic had somehow or another confused Duryodhana as to what was water and what was solid floor. So at one point he lifted his dhoti thinking it was water, and which was humiliating. And then the second thing, he failed to see that the floor was water, and he fell in the water. Now, Bhima, everybody who was there is laughing. All the kings and queens are laughing. And Yudhishthira felt bad about it. Yudhishthira did not feel good about it. But Krishna, when they looked over to Krishna, he just said yes. He sanctioned it because he knew that it was time for Duryodhana's activities to come to a close. And so he was there not only to award the Vaishnav, award the sadhus, but to punish the miscreant. Okay? So we find out that even as the miscreants are being punished, we see this with Kamsa particularly. We see this with Hiranyakashipu and Yaksha. You know, we see so many, Jarasandha, we see so many of these great kings and so forth who were demoniac, who were killed by the Lord, either by his Sudarshan chakra or beaten to death with his fist or whatever it might be the Lord did. And they also achieved liberation. Some merged into his impersonal aspect. Some took the body, same body of the Lord. There's various kinds of liberation that can be awarded. And some went to Vaikuntha planets. Some went home to Goloka. So the Lord, he is equal to everyone. He says in Bhagavad Gita, Ham sarvasya prabhavo, matak sarvam pravartate, iti madva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service, and they worship me with all their hearts. So the devotee responds with love and devotion and service. So we see here that Everybody was there, and everybody took up a particular service. The priests had executed the rituals. The king, the queen, Draupadi bathed in the Ganges. They were present, all of them there. And they took up various services to try to please Yudhisthira. But the demons are always trying to cause a fight. The demoniac are envious by nature. If you read the chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, Divine and Demoniac Natures, you'll see that they're proud, that the demons are thinking it's my prowess that all this is happening. I should receive the worship, not some Krishna, some talkative boy. In many cases, they've referred to the Lord in this way, that he is breaking regulative principles, that he's doing this and that. They're always looking to condemn the Lord. But every act that Krishna did in Srimad Bhagavatam was absolutely perfect because it benefited everyone in every situation of their life, including the demons, who achieved their liberation, but not in the same way as the devotee. So the example Prabhupada gives is that when the cat comes, the mouse, when the cat comes for the kitty cat, the little baby cat is picked up by the neck and it's protected in the mouth of the cat. But when it comes for the mouse, it doesn't come in the same way. It comes to tear the mouse to pieces. So that's the idea. So the idea here is it doesn't really matter if you can become Krishna conscious, you're going to achieve your benefit. You're going to achieve benefit. There's no question about it. So it shows that throughout Srimad Bhagavatam that however you can fix your mind on the Lord, in a way, it's kind of like the axioms of Chanakya Pandit. I don't know if you're familiar, but I think there's one axiom that said, get ghee, beg, borrow, steal ghee. Why? Because ghee has the same chemical nature, nutritional nature, literally, as spinal fluid and brain fluid. So it is truly a condensed source of life and a condensed source of building finer tissues in the brain so that we can understand this transcendental philosophy, which is beyond this three modes of material nature of tamas, rajas, and sattva gunas. So Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who constantly are devoted, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. But the demons don't get the same understanding because they're not approaching the Lord in a favorable way. So they're covered by his yoga maya or maha maya influence. And therefore, they don't know what is true, what is to be done, what is not to be done. They cannot understand carefully. And they give bad instructions. Prabhupada said they are the bogus yogis who are there spouting these philosophies, these speculations and things in the material world, and they are the blind leading the blind over the cliff into the abyss to be dashed amongst the stones below. So the idea is we have to follow the sampradaya, and we have to follow that parampara of thoroughly honest spiritual masters, and then we can understand truth. Other than that, we're guaranteed to make mistakes. We're guaranteed to be an illusion, and we're guaranteed to literally commit sinful activities. So Krishna is constantly coming again and again in these various incarnations that we've been reading about. 22 incarnations so far we're reading about in this Srimad Bhagavatam, and he comes for one purpose, really two purposes. One, to get rid of the demons and deliver the devotees, and to attract the minds of the innocent to come back home. So when Arjuna saw Krishna's universal form, what did he say? What did he say? He saw it. He was amazed. He was thinking Krishna was a friend at first. And then he took Krishna as his spiritual master. So once you take the spiritual master, then there's no further argument. It's simply, at first, Arjuna is arguing with Krishna, and I don't think I should fight. I don't think I should kill these people. I think maybe I should, instead become a mendicant and go to the mountains. I'd rather do that than have a world, a kingdom tainted with the blood of those he holds most dear. So Krishna explained to him that even though you're speaking learned words, you do not understand the difference between the immortal soul and the material body. So the soul is forever. Cannot be cut. Dehano spin yata dehe kaumarang javarang jara tata dehantara praptir diras tatra namuyati. Diras means that if a person is self-realized, they know the difference between the immortal soul and the material body, which is endlessly mutable. Material body is endlessly mutable. What does that mean? Childhood to youth to old age, and then to death, and then to another body. Endlessly mutable. In all these species, 8,400,000 species of life, we can choose, and we can try to raise a family in that. We can try to build a kingdom in the material world. Unfortunately, we're building our homes in a house that is burning down. Would you do that? If the house was on fire, would you start setting up shop in a house like that? No. So we have to be intelligent. So when Arjuna sees Krishna, he says, Param Dhamma, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam Bibum. He says, Arjuna tells Krishna after seeing this form, he says, you are the supreme Brahman. You are the ultimate. You are the supreme abode. You are the supreme purifier. You are the absolute truth. You are the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original. Brahma says the same thing. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Adir Govindam Sarva Karana Karanam. So what we see is that the first living entity of this material universe, Brahma, says that Krishna or Govinda is the one without a second, Adidevam. And then Arjuna says here, you're the primal God, transcendental and original. You are unborn. You're all-pervading beauty. All the great sages, such as Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyas, they all proclaim this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So this is the actual truths that we're trying to extract from the Vedic literature, and we do that through the Parampara. There have been people who've read Bhagavad Gita and interpreted it to mean something completely and entirely different. Even Krishna becomes an insignificant personality in the Bhagavad Gita, although almost every verse starts with Bhagavan Uvacha. It means that God said. God said. How can you leave God out if he's the one speaking? But somehow or another they do. And they make it some insignificant personality with some other mission. Even nonviolence. Our Gandhi, he's preaching nonviolence. He's using Bhagavad Gita to do it. That's not possible. Bhagavad Gita is on a battlefield of Kurukshetra where millions of men died. Only 5 remained, the 5 Pandava brothers. How can it be that it's based in nonviolence? How is that possible? Actually, true nonviolence is speaking none other than everything about Krishna, always telling the truth about Krishna. That's nonviolence. But when we twist the truth, then we find ourselves in dismay. So in this story, we're seeing that he is being embarrassed. Duryodhana is being embarrassed. They saw it, they began to laugh. And so he left, Duryodhana immediately left with his head down and departed for Hastinapur. So that's the end of that particular chapter. Any questions on the chapter 74? I believe it's 74 anyway.
75. I did have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was just
70, it's 75. Yeah.
Yeah, 75. When we look at text 26, it describes all the different groups of people who were at the sacrifice, the Rajasura sacrifice. And one of them, it says, and mystic spirits.
Mystic who?
Mystic spirits.
Which is this 26? Is that
26, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
And I was just it's interesting that because, they say the Brahmanas, Kshatras, Vaishyas, Sudras, demigods, sages, forefathers, chief planetary rulers and their followers. And then it says mystic spirits. Are they meaning the ghosts? What do you think?
Well, yeah, there are ghosts. They're unembodied personalities. There's no question about it. I imagine that's what they're talking about. If you look at the translation, and there is no purport.
No.
So there's no purport for that. So we can only speculate and say that, yes, the mystic spirits, uh, absolutely. Yeah, why
Oh,
not?
yes. Oh, yeah.
Why not?
I
I
just
mean, there are
thought,
sacrifices to worship and release people from a ghostly
yeah,
position.
yeah,
So yeah, I would imagine they may be there as well. Seemed like everybody showed up.
yes,
Let me tell you something in that regard that I think you'll find interesting. Earlier today, and I see this all the time when I look on Facebook or whatever, some pops up, whatever you're interested in, those kind of things keep popping up. And it talks about how the Vedic literature understood how fast the sun is traveling, how the stellar influences are affecting everyone, what's on the various planets, the yojanas, the distance between these things are all given. Time itself is given down to the minuscule particle, and
Bhagavatam.
it's scientifically been proven to be correct. Even in the Vedas, it says that the stool and urine of a cow is pure. Now, there was no way to test that scientifically, obviously, until there was some machinery or whatever here in the 1900s, probably. But now they've proven that yes, it has antiseptic qualities. And what is that called? Right? What is that? What is that, Vamsi? You know the name of that? Everybody goes to India to do pancha,
Yeah,
panchakarma.
yeah,
Pancha,
Panchakarma.
yeah, they go to panchakarma. And you're taking literally the stool of a cow into your body and drinking the urine of the cow. So these things are antiseptic. And these things have been known for thousands of years, and now we're just now beginning to prove them. So that's one example of how the Vedic literature was thousands and thousands and thousands of years more sophisticated than our modern scientific measurements and our modern understanding of the universe with our little microscopes. So, yes, answer to your question, everybody came. It was a big party. And back then, everybody could come. Let me tell you something. It says that this Vimana, this iron ship that he had, uh, could divide and be in different places at different times. It could disappear. Now, everybody talks about UFOs, right? And people take pictures of the UFOs out of their windows or out of airplanes or whatever it might be, or they see them in the night sky. One time we were going to Florida. My family and I was going to Florida. And we actually saw a bright light in the sky. Now this happened to me, so I'm telling you a firsthand story. Okay, so when I saw this, I told the kids. I said it was a beautiful night too. We were driving a little bit late, and I told the kids. I had two boys, by the way, and they're always very interested in crazy stuff. They want to see shooting stars. They want to know all about this stuff. So we pulled over and we stopped. And when we drove for a little while, and this thing was following us, this light in the sky. And sometimes it would appear here, sometimes it would appear there, sometimes it would break into pieces and show in one place, and then it would come back together, and it'd be gone for a moment. So we got out to try to observe it, see if there was any sound or whatever we could find out. But we never could determine what it was. All we could see in the night sky was the bright lights that would uh, go in different configurations. We never had an explanation for that. But if you look up stories of the UFOs and this and that, you'll see that that's a commonplace occurrence that literally hundreds of thousands of people have seen these things. Okay. So when we talk about apsaras, siddhas, chinnaras, all these different Gandharvas, when we talk about the Rakshasas and what different types of personalities there may be, they may have capabilities well beyond anything we can imagine, and that's spoken of in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And now people are just now trying to understand it more scientifically. So I don't think that any of these things, like mystic spirits or any of the things that we're talking about, are very fantastic when it comes to the capabilities of what God can do in the material universe. I mean, just look around. There are trillions of stars. I saw a picture from the rover on Mars. Of course, Mars has no atmosphere. So they have this picture showing the sky circling, and we see the Milky Way if we're lucky. They're looking at all types of constellations and uh, incredible formations in the universe. They see these things through their micro telescope or whatever it is that they have on this rover. So it's like a cloud in the sky. There's so many trillions and trillions and trillions of star clusters. It looks like a big cloud in different directions, like a lit up cloud or like a fire in the sky with red and yellow and purple and green and all these different amazing colors that Krishna is manifesting at every moment. So if we think that mystic spirits are pretty phantasmagoric, I don't think so. I think that we can see that Krishna is competent and capable to manifest in all these various varieties for the sake of rasa. Now, the rasa can be, according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it can be one of all these 26 rasas, some of which are horror, ghastliness, and experiences that you can have with Krishna. Like, for an example, if you were on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and you just got your head chopped off, that's your rasa. That's what you wanted with Krishna. And now your rasa has been fulfilled. Maybe a little ghastly, a little horrible, but the idea is by being killed by Krishna, certainly you're liberated. Krishna says in 1154 in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Bhaktya Twananya Yasakya Aham Evam Vidorjuna, he says to Arjuna, Gyantum Drastum Chitatvena Pravestum Cha Parantapa. He's saying that if you want to know me, if you want to understand me as I am, there's really only one way you're ever going to do it. There's no other way you can actually do it. Krishna's very, very clear about it. He says, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and thus can be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Krishna is very careful to instruct us so that we don't get off the track, that we don't follow bogus yogis, that we don't fall into some trap of staying in this material world and experiencing this repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, which is the wheel of samsara we're repeatedly being crushed in. Well, it feels pretty good when you're on the top of the wheel, right? Not too bad. It's just when you get rolled over again, it's not so good. So this material world is being ground up, literally over and over, manifested and dissolved again and again and again and again and again and again and again until we finally come home to be with Krishna in Vaikuntha in the spiritual sky. So if we want to understand Krishna, we should do that actually in a favorable way. And by doing it in a favorable devotional way, we'll be rewarded the highest benefits of all. So any other questions on that chapter? We're running out of time. Any other points or questions anybody's got?
I seem to remember, was it last year? Because they did a big report on looking again at the UFOs. And last year I think they put out a report, the definitive report, and they definitely agreed, yes, there are a lot of them are UFOs. They can't identify them. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking, well, the demigods are probably flying around so fast. After all, they go such distances that we can't really perceive them. So we just get this flash of light or something, something that we can't see. And I was thinking it's probably like a squirrel or a deer. They can't see the car coming because we go too fast. So maybe it's like that. They just get like this flash, as we flash past them because they don't perceive those sorts of speeds. So I suppose we can't perceive the speeds that the demigods are traveling at.
Well, not only that, I mean, that may be true. That's a bit of speculation, but let's just say this, that you may see the sun, but you don't see the sun God. Vṛṣṇis is there, he's the principality, but we don't see him. And if you want to go to the sun and you want to get your little spaceship and fly out there, good luck. Most people are burning up before they get there like moths in the flame. So these demons are always envious of Krishna. And here's the thing, guys. If you look at what the devotees think, it says after bathing Lord Krishna's feet, this is text 27 and 28. It says Maharaj Yudhishthira joyfully sprinkled the water upon his own head, and then upon the heads of his wife, brothers, other family members, and ministers. Now, this is after Krishna had washed everybody's feet in the assembly. God's washing the feet. Okay? Try to get it. You understand what I'm saying? Now they washed his feet. They're putting that water upon their head, which purifies the whole universe. That water that goes over his toe goes onto the head of Lord Shiva and goes on down into the Ganges River. So we know when you bathe in the Ganges River, you're bathing the water that's touched God's feet, and therefore you're purified of your sinful reactions. So that's the idea. But it says that King Yudhishthira's tear-filled eyes prevented him from looking directly at the Lord. So this is the mood of a devotee. But here's the mood of a demon. So it says, when they saw that Lord Krishna was thus honored by these great devotees, nearly all who were present joined their palms reverentially, exclaiming obeisance to you, and they bowed before him. But the intolerant son of Dhamaghosh, he became infuriated. So the envious, when they see that you're glorified, they become angry. If they see someone other than them being glorified, or some credit given to someone else other than them, they become very envious, like a snake. They're looking at ways to bite you. So it says, the intolerant son of Dhamaghosh became infuriated upon hearing the glorification of Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities. So he stood up from his seat. What'd he do? He spoke to the entire assembly in harsh words. Harsh words. We're not meant for that. We're not meant to use harsh words against one another. They're just like arrows. They're just like weapons to the heart, and they can hurt someone. So, harsh words against the Supreme Lord. So, what do they say? They say, "Oh, leader," they said, "Oh, leaders of the assembly, you know best who is a fit candidate for being honored. Therefore, you should not heed the words of a child when he claims that Krishna deserves to be worshipped. How could you pass over the most exalted members of this assembly, the topmost sages dedicated to the absolute truth?" So what they're doing is he's trying to run the Lord down. Okay, and this is from this is deliverance. This is from the previous chapter I'm reading. And this is from the deliverance of Shishupal at the Rajasuya sacrifice. And you might remember what happened. After all this happened, the Yadus got up with their swords and they're ready to kill. But Krishna simply stood up and used Sudarshan Chakra and beheaded him. So the demons are always there. They're always there to throw dirt on your sacrifice. They're always there to create a problem for the devotees. And our goal is to tolerate that and depend on the Lord for our salvation in that situation. He will come and rescue his devotees. We know that from the story of Hiranyakashipu. So all of this is there. We are running out of time. I wanted to cover a couple of things in this next chapter. But I'm going to open the floor if anybody's got any comments or questions or any elucidations. Vamsi's always got some nectar. He's generally going to throw something at us any second. I see Sue Davies here. She's here. That's good.
Yes, Prabhuji, it was very nice to see that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's washing the feet of all the guests at the Rajasuya sacrifice. So we see how humble the Lord is. He's willing to take a lower position as a driver or just a doorkeeper of Bali Maharaj. So we see how renounced he is. He's not the one wanting to show off or anything. But we infinitesimal parts of the Lord want to act as if we are great. So much of contrast there.
Everything Krishna does is completely perfect. You can study the Vedas as long as you want to. And what you'll find is that every act that he does benefits everyone in a 360-degree circle. It doesn't matter. He's equal to everyone. He's an impartial. And if you do something for Krishna, he even appreciates the demons. When Putana gave her breast, and she came, this witch, this demon, 8 mile long demon. Could you imagine big demon in the universe? She comes as the most beautiful woman. She mesmerizes even the other gopis and the mothers. And she comes in and takes a breast smeared with the most deadly poison and lets the baby suckle. So Krishna understood her mind. He's super soul, Paramatma and everybody. So what did he do? He did her a big favor. She was suffering. She liked to suck the blood of infants. She liked to eat the children. He was a big demon. So what happened? He sucked the life out of this demon and gave her liberation. And he accepted her devotional service by offering the breast. She offered a breast to Krishna, and Krishna accepted it and gave her liberation. Come on now. Even when you try to do something to Krishna, if you offer him something, he says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. In other words, whatever you do, offer your food, give away whatever you got, leaf, fruit, flower, water, all of these things. I'll accept your devotional service. So Krishna did that. But he does say that because the living entity in the material world is carrying all these concoctions, these different conceptions, just like the air carries aroma, they take it from one body to the next, to the next, to the next. And what we're doing is we developed a mentality that's based around the mind and the senses. And it's all based around sense gratification. That's why in the Vedas, yama niyama is the first steps of yoga. Find out what is not good for you and leave it off. Find out what's good for you and do it every day. So that's the first steps of yoga. And to do that, we have to find out what is good for us. And that means to give up these false, concocted dream realities that we've created. We're trying to create some situation. For an example, if you look at some big megalomaniacs in the world, we sing like for Kim Jong-un, for an example, he's worshipped as God. He wants to be God. He's got everybody under his thumb. If you think anything differently, he'll kill you. I mean, it's either his way or you're dead. And he takes all the money. Everyone is starving. I mean, what kind of a demoniac ruler is that? Why would you do that to your sovereignty like that? Why would you do that? These are your dependents, and a king should be like a father. And you should never be a king. You should never be a father. You never should be a mother. You should never be a teacher. You should never be anything if you can't deliver your student back home, back to Godhead. The whole purpose of the material world is a remediation of our concocted, bogus mental dream that we're living here. If I could finally have all the money, if I could live in this particular house, in this particular place, if I could have this beautiful wife, if my children could achieve this greatness or whatever it is that I could do, then I could finally be happy. Actually, it would be like me being God. I would finally achieve my situation as the supreme person, either in my family or in my nation or in this world. And by the way, about that time is when death comes. Hare Krishna. Krishna says, time I am the destroyer of all the worlds, and I've come to engage you. So you can think whatever you think, even if you're a demigod. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahma Bhuvanal Loka. Loka means the planet of Brahma. If you go there, you die. You still die. Hiranyakashipu wanted immortal life. Brahma couldn't give it to him. Couldn't give it to him. Here we find that this demon goes to Shiva to try to defeat the Lord with his Vimana. Well, we'll wait till the next chapter, see what happens. So whatever arrangements you want to make, good luck. Because it's going to backfire. Everything belongs to Krishna, and you do too. He is the soul of your soul. And he says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishto. So Hridi means the heart. So he says, I am situated in everyone's heart, and from me come knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta as Veda Vyas, and I am the knower of the Vedas. He is the purpose of the Vedas, the goal of the Vedas, and the source of the Vedas. So, but he goes on to say in 1619, he says, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life by their desire. So we have to avoid that at all cost, and we have to understand the Lord Bhaktya Mam Abhijananti Yavanyaschasmi Tatbataha Tatomang Tatbato Gyadva Visitatad Anantaram. And when one understands God by devotional service, when one is in full consciousness of the Lord by devotional service, such a devotee can enter into the kingdom of God. So that's enough said. That's enough said. I mean, what else can be said? Anybody got something to add? Add something, guys, or we're going to go, okay? So it's 8:08. I have another meeting. We got a big thing coming up in Nashville this weekend. I'm excited about it. Bibi Govinda, Chuta Gopi, the Bhakti Brothers, a lot of people are coming. And we got a meeting after this tonight to discuss our plans for the event. So I have to go a little early tonight. But if there's any other comment or question, we're very grateful to you for bringing it to the table.
And Purushottam month is starting on Sunday, right? It comes once in 3 years, and it's like the extra month in the lunar calendar. And it's supposed to be very auspicious, even more than Kartik, some say.
Really? Wow. And that's coming up this coming Sunday, Monday?
Yeah, Sunday.
And it just one day?
No, it's for the whole month. It's because
Yeah.
like the lunar calendar is 354 days. If you take the moon cycle is 29.5 days, right? And so that the lunar and the solar calendars match, there's this leap month they add every 3 years, and so that is supposed to be very auspicious. And it's starting on Sunday. It's called Purushottam month because the Lord gave his own name because it's very auspicious.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Well, everybody should observe that, no doubt. And if you don't have the Vaishnav calendar, you can get it online, and then that way you'll know these auspicious holidays and such. I guess the final thought here is that Śālva, he's a lot like, if you think about it, he's a lot like Hiranyakashipu. So what did he do? He wanted to do severe austerities because he wanted a power, he wanted a boon. So he did it for Shiva, and he ate a handful of dust every day for a year. Willing to do these type of extraordinary austerities, which are extremely painful, and the super soul doesn't appreciate that inside. He's not appreciating that. But Shiva gave him his boon, which gave him this Vimana. Well, let's find out what happens to the Vimana a little later. I think we're going to see what happens if we go about it in the incorrect way. We're going to find out exactly what kind of results we're going to get. So stay tuned. Next week, same time, same station. We're going to continue on until we can't breathe, can't talk, can't think, can't move anymore. We're going to do this because what else is there? What else is there? Sense gratification? We get plenty of sense gratification. Listen, guys, we're not giving up nothing. We're eating the best prasadam. It's made with ghee, not palmoline. You go to these restaurants and you spend $100 and they're serving palmoline, which is not even digestible. So we have ghee. So we have all the finest. It's like, if you live in the king's palace, you get all the benefits the king gets also. So that's what we're doing. We're living in Krishna's palace, and we're trying to simply follow his instructions to the best of our ability. And we're praying for his mercy every day. And we're surrendering to the Lord. We don't want to be his enemy. We're not there to fight the Lord. We're there to serve the Lord. And our goal, when we call his name, that's the Yuga Dharma. And Krishna will come. He will bless you. He will protect you. He will take care of you. He'll make sure that you come home to him. And you'll have your eternal life of, eternal knowledge, bliss, and your form of your original Swarup city. So that form is an eternal form. And that's the one we're looking for, not this concocted form that we've been given as a result of our karmic reactions. Okay? Guys, y'all are a lot of fun. If there's one more question, we'll take it. If not, is there one more? Any other thought? Anything one of that? All right. Okay, so repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hari Hari.
Hare
Hari
Hare.
Hari.
Hare Ram.
Hare
Hari
Ram.
Ram.
Hare Ram.
Hare
Hari
Ram.
Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Hari Hari. Ganesh.
Hari Hari.
Whoa,
Yes.
so glad to see you tonight. So glad everybody came. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time. And your reading was very nice. So please come back and read some more if you don't mind.
Sure, Prabhuji.
We missed some voices tonight. Our dear Karunika, we wanted to hear your voice tonight. Maybe next time. And also Sue Devi, please read for us next time, Sue Devi, because we'd love to hear you. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. Please pray for Gayatri Das. Hari Bo.
Hare
Radhi
Krishna.
Radhi.
I'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.
Radhi Radhi.